I'm tired now from my What's going on, everybody? How are y'all doing tonight? Alexa, volume 4. It looks like we're back up. It looks like the sound is working. It wasn't working before. So I was on here and I was talking and running my mouth and it was embarrassing and I was all over the place. Danielle Munoz, Jay. Okay, so it looks like the sound is on. So we're good. Sip it, Don Perry. All right, guys. Looks like we're good. What a night. What a night. What a shit show at the beginning. Mickey Ficky. But we're here and we're good and I'm ready to talk. And I'm a whole hour late. You know, I was saying that on the other stream, but there was no sound. So I'm just throwing that out there. I'm late, but we're here. You know, we're here and it's time to talk. You know, it's time to talk about the Tinder Swindler, manipulation, mental health. I had the chance to watch it. And I was shocked by some of the things that I was seeing on there. So we're gonna talk about it, but before we start to talk about it, y'all know what we have to do. I need you all to go ahead. Let me know where you all are checking in from in the comments. You know, let me know where y'all are checking in from. Let me see. Somebody from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Okay, I'm checking live from Los Angeles, California. We have Chicago in the house. Okay. Okay, y'all can actually hear me. Y'all said yay sound. Tennessee in the house, Colorado, Arizona, South Carolina, British Columbia, Rochester, New York, Baltimore. Who asked for the dance? Sarasota, Florida, Minnesota, Toronto, Charlotte, Kansas, Anderson, South Carolina. Got friends out there, Georgia, Florida, North Carolina. Oh, wow. Amber, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that. Pennsylvania, Michigan, Rochester, New York, Alabama, Nashville, Indiana, Charlotte, Georgia, Canada. Do you have anybody from outside of the States, not Canada? So we got Toronto, Kentucky, Philly, Montreal. Okay, Meridian, Mississippi. Oh, wow. Shout out to Meridian. Shout out to Meridian. I know exactly where that's at. I went to West Alabama, so I know a thing or two about Meridian, Mississippi. All right, guys, it's time to talk. It's time to talk about this. I have to turn Alexa off. It's time to talk about this documentary. You know, so I'm not sure if you all have watched it yet. And I told y'all, I told y'all last week to get ready to go ahead and watch this documentary so that we can talk about it. So I just want to say, if you have not watched the Tinder Swindler on Netflix, feel free to hop out the live stream and then come back and watch this after the fact, because this is recorded, right? It's going to be on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter. So it's gonna be online. So feel free to hop out if you don't want spoilers. If you're okay with spoilers, let's talk about it, because obviously on this show we talk about things from a mental health perspective, right? And you know, we talk about narcissism. Can't even talk today. We talk about manipulation. You know, we talk about mental health and relationships. How do you protect yourself? How you know if people are out to help you, if people are out to hurt you, if people are trying to play you, if somebody's a gold digger. We don't know any of these things, right? But there's certain things that you should be on the lookout for. And this documentary is fascinating because I watched it and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, who is schooling these women? Like, you know, like you go on a date with a guy, right? And then you tell your friends, right, that you're dating this rich guy, blah, blah, blah. They're going to be happy for you. But at some point, somebody should pull you aside and say, like, what actually is going on, you know? And this documentary, The Tinder Swindler, I've actually pulled it up here to give y'all some extra information. And Liz says, I want... Listen, I want the spoilers. I'm not sure I'm up for watching. All right, sure. Stay here. So the Tinder Swindler, I'm going to read off here. His name is Shimon Hayut, a convicted fraudster born in Israel. He used dating apps to meet multiple women, then established lines of credit and loans in their names, ultimately leaving them holding the bills. So he conned these women out of money, and I say women, I'm talking about multiple. Guys, this is on Netflix right now. This is on Netflix. It's streaming on Netflix. It's something that you might want to, something that you might want to watch, right? But the way that he conned these women, right? I'm watching it, and I'm like, you know, at some point, you know, all right, let's be rational, right? You meet somebody, and because of social media, if you meet somebody, you can Google them, right? And you can see what they're about, right? So if I take myself, for example, let's say I go on, I don't use these apps, but let's say I go on that app and I meet somebody, right? You would imagine that the girl would like look up your Instagram to see like, are you real? What does he do? Blah blah blah, and then they're like, oh, he's posting online. Cool, 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 right? People have to kind of verify you and vet you in a sense, right? So this guy clearly passed the background check, right? You know, had a life of luxury, appeared to have money, and if you think about manipulation, right? Somebody who is going to manipulate you, they know what the other person wants, and they know that that other person is willing to do a lot to get that one thing, right? So in this situation, we have this guy, and someone says, "My enemies are after me." I'm gonna put that here. If you watched it, you know what I'm talking about. But if you know what the person that you wants, sometimes you're able to do for them, but at the same time you can also manipulate them, right? So in this situation, we have this guy who's living this life of luxury, right? And I live in Los Angeles, California, so I see how this thing can be possible, right? You have this guy living this life of luxury. He's out here, he can buy you a Birkin bag. He can take you on a private jet. No lady in her right mind would be like, I don't want that, right? I'm not saying that every woman wants that, but anybody would be like, oh wow, like this is kind of cool. Like, let me see what this guy has to offer. And this guy, like, it was a full out scheme, right? It was a full out scheme. He had a pattern. Um, and this, like, I post so much online about, you know, um, like manipulation, narcissism, what to look out for. And guys can get scammed too, right? If you're a guy, you can get scammed by a girl, or a guy, if you're into guys. I mean, anybody can get scammed. So it's important to know what to look out for. And people always say, uh, if I'm talking to a narcissist, what are some of the signs and symptoms, right? You need to watch his documentary because this guy followed a pattern. Like, he knew exactly what to do to get these women, right? He knew exactly what to do. So I'm reading out from here, he would match with a woman on Tinder, right? That's the first step. You got to create the dating profile, create the profile, you get on the app, upload a picture of yourself, right? You smelling good, looking good, all that stuff. You have to sell the image, right? This is what goes on in the mind of a master manipulator. Sell the image. So he would match with a woman on Tinder. All right. Now look at the second thing that he would do, right? He would take her on a costly and impressive first date. Y'all need to be on the lookout for that, right? Y'all need to be on the lookout for that, right? On a first date that costs a lot of money and is impressive. So we talk about, going on first dates. You want to be able to, you know, do well and impress your person. But our first date, you could go to the park. You could take a walk in the park, and that could be a first date, right? But this guy says, no, I'm gonna skip all of that. So he skipped it, and then he even took one of his dates on a private jet. Right. So if you're a lady watching this, imagine you meeting a guy on Tinder, right? And then your first date is on a private jet. What kind of stories would you come back and tell like your homegirls, right? They wouldn't believe it. They'd be asking you, "Ooh, do he got any friends? Does he have any cousins? He got any brothers?" This is a lifestyle of luxury, right? He would do all this, right? And he'd be dating other women. And then, you know, after he would get close to the women, he would say that, he had enemies that were after him, and by doing this, he's playing on their emotions, and he was able to swindle these women into getting money from them, right? Using the credit cards, getting them to take out loans, and the thing that I saw the thing that I struggled with the most while I was watching this documentary was trying to figure out why are people still getting played? And so, at what point do you ask yourself, hey, I think I'm getting played, right? At what point do you ask yourself that, you know? But the beginning of the relationship was so well thought out. Like this was a plan, and I want you all to get the takeaway point from this is yes, I'm positive. Yes, I'm on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok dancing and spreading positivity, and I want people to be happy. But not everybody who you come across is trying to show you love. There are some people who are trying to manipulate you and swindle you, whether it's money or sex or something. Sometimes there's people who are after you for a certain thing, and they'll go to great lengths to get that one thing from you. And that's what I saw in this documentary, right? So you start with the love bombing from the get go, a private jet first date. Why is your first date on the private jet? You know, I don't get that. But like he would use this money that he's getting, and he's scamming people out of the money, and he would use this to fuel this lifestyle of luxury, right? And the funny thing with love bombing is that you probably don't know that you're being love bombed until you're out of it, right? It's like a whole bunch of smoke, right? All it's thrown out there. You don't know what to do. You're just kind of like you can't see. It's so foggy. Like all you know is that everything is great. You just met some guy, and then in your mind you're planning out this life that you're gonna build with him. You're gonna be rich. You're gonna live here. You're gonna have a mansion in Beverly Hills or something, and you're gonna take flights on his private jet. So you want to be with this guy so much that you will take out loans to help him, be safe from his enemies. And it got me thinking, the average person is not too far off from this type of thing, right? Now, most guys, like this is a pretty well thought out plan. So most guys probably cannot construct such a masterful plan, but there are many different Tinder swindlers out there. That's what I want you all to be looking for. There's Tinder swindlers out there that are hiding in plain sight among us, right? And even for guys, right? You could have a girl, swindle you and appear to be something in the beginning, right? Appear to be the exact woman you want, and then maybe a month later, 3 weeks later, or however long, she comes out in true form after she's gotten what she needed to get out of you. So anybody can be Tinder swindled. So that's what I want you all to be on the lookout for. And I don't want to give out all the details of uh the documentary because like you just have to watch this yourself. Like I was like at a loss for words. But I do realize that these things can happen because that's the thing with love bombing. And a good narcissist, you won't know that they're narcissists until you're in therapy a couple years later, and then you're breaking things down, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is like the Netflix documentary Tinder Swindler. So these are things to keep in mind. So now that I finished my rant, I want to know for you all, what are some ways that you all think you've been swindled, right? And I want this to be interactive. So I want to get you all's feedback, and I want to dive a little bit deeper into um, the comments here. Christina says, I personally always thought Tinder was a hookup site. I mean, I don't know how you would characterize Tinder or these apps. I'm not sure. But I mean, people go to the club and hook up, and then people go to Tinder and get married. So like it can be whichever way, right? It could be whichever way. And let me see. Okay, we got a good one right here. I had a guy I've never even been on a date with insist on coming to my house to take care of me when I had COVID last month. I tried saying no politely and finally just blocked him. So I gotta give you the first love of the show. Shout out to you. That's the red flag, right? That's the red flag. You've never met somebody before. Why are they coming to your house to take care of you, right? Why? Gotta keep these things in mind. Gotta keep these things in mind. Um, Somebody said The average person is not too far off from me. So Brandy must disagree with me. The average person, like I actually saw. Let me pull it up for you. Like I actually saw this, and this is actually so. Actually, all right. Let's get into it. Brandy says the average person is not too far from being swept off the Cali. Please. So the way Brandy's saying that, Brandy doesn't believe me, right? Now I got this article right here. I'm so happy that this article popped up because I saw it earlier today, and I knew I was going to talk about this tonight, and I thought I was going to lose it. So this is an article from the Guardian. It says Americans, right? So this is us as Americans. We have to take, you know, credit or blame for this. Americans lost $1 billion to Tinder Swindler style romance cons last year, according to the FBI. So as a country, we lost $1 billion to this type of thing. So you cannot tell me that this is not something that's like too far off. Like this thing is, I'm gonna put the article in here for you all to see. Let me drop it here so y'all can see it. Drop. It says victims financially and emotionally devastated by scammers who prey upon vulnerable, often older people. Bureau finds. Oh wow, wow. Check this out. Check this out right here. And in this article it says the majority of the victims who were cheated out of their money were women older than 40 and women who are widowed, divorced, elderly, or disabled. The FBI's Internet Crime Compliance Center said in a press statement last week. So this is happening. This is a Netflix documentary, but this is real life. You know, I get out here, I make these videos, I tell y'all about boundaries and mental health and narcissism, and y'all think is a joke. It's not a joke. It's not a joke. People are actually being swindled out here. It says the scammers often use poetry. Okay. I do women like poetry nowadays? I don't know if y'all still like poetry. Valentine's Day just passed. Are you all still into poetry? Let me know. Scammers often use poetry, flowers, and other gifts to charm their victims while keeping them concerned with stories of severe life circumstances, tragedies, death, and injuries. That sounds just like the documentary I watched. That sounds just like the Tinder Swindler on Netflix. It sounds just like it. So I'm seeing that women. It says we do. I love poetry. Okay, so women still like poetry. Okay, so the massive manipulators know what to do. They know what to do. They definitely know what to do, you know, and it's sad when you think about it. I'm sure people are losing their life savings over this. People are losing tons of money that they've saved up for love, you know, and this is a crime. You know, it's definitely a crime. The FBI is involved, right? So this is not just something that you see on TV, you know. And let me see this. Oh, Mickey Vicky. All right, Deshay. I went on a date with a guy to a park and we talked for 4 hours. I thought we had a connection. I drove. He left his car, went to a gas station, and he said he forgot his wallet in his car and asked if I had any money. And I gave him a $20 bill. He walked out of the store and got in a car and parked next to me, and they left. And I never heard from him or my $20. They, what? Was he with somebody else? What's going on? What? What's going on? Mickey Ficky. My sister has been catfished for the past year. She's so convinced. Never met this guy and has totally cut off our family because we called this so attention. It's heartbreaking. Oh, Mickey Ficky. Oh, Mickey Ficky. I'm sorry to hear that. Wow. Miss Geyer, I'm sorry to hear that. And here's the thing. It's like y'all have heard that phrase, the way to like a man's heart is through his stomach, right? People say, oh, if you want this man, cook him food, take care of him, and then he'll love you. You know, like that's a phrase, you know. And with women, you know, women, if a lot of times manipulators know that once you get a lady up here, like the battle is won, right? And a good narcissist knows these things, right? Somebody who doesn't know, right? The average guy, let's say the average uninformed, you know, manipulator who's trying to manipulate a lady might be like, oh well, maybe I'll talk to her, or maybe I'll show her how I look, or my money, and that stuff works, yes. But the Tinder swindler, this guy pulled this off because he got the women up here. If he gets somebody mentally, um, that's 98% of the battle, And this is what's happened in this situation where, some of my sister's been catfished for the past year. She's never met the guy. Um, oh my goodness, it's actually heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking, and I hear these stories all the time, and we joke about it a lot of the time, but this is somebody's sister. Like these things are actually happening. These things are actually happening. Someone said I had a guy from Russia. Were you in Russia too, or what's going on? Someone says, "What if your boyfriend never pays for dates, doesn't buy you gifts?" All right, so this is a little bit different. Um, I don't know. Like this doesn't look like. Well, I don't know. It could. You could be getting swindled. I'm not too sure. But it's tough here. I don't want to make excuses for him and say maybe he's a college student or something like that. But how long have y'all been dating? He never buys you gifts or pays for dates. Um, I can get the gifts part because I'm not a big gift giver. I will do it, but I pay for stuff, right? And John says women will pull at a man's heartstrings. Anything for my kids are sick till we are hungry. Most manipulative people can sense it. So John, I like the fact that you said this. With this manipulation thing, we have to keep everybody accountable. The men, the women, however you identify, everybody has to be kept accountable on this. And women can also be manipulators and swindle people. And so John, thank you for saying that. Thank you for saying that. Um, oh my gosh, right here. Um, Candace, ooh, we could have a whole show where I just read these stories. Honestly, I could just tell everybody, guys, come on and tell me your stories about being swindled or manipulated. Candace, I met a guy, told me he was a doctor. I will meet him at the hospital for lunch. Long story short, he wasn't a doctor. He was known for going around telling people he's a doctor. And the nude, oh my gosh. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The nuke threw me off. Shout out to the Kappas. But wow. So at what point did you realize that he wasn't a doctor? Like, I mean, was he wearing scrubs and going to the hospital? I mean, people will go to great lengths to do anything. Um, Brandy, oh, I gotta give Brandy love the show. I honestly don't think folks are paying attention to their own issues, but I guarantee you that manipulator will jump on your insecurity. I agree, Brandy. That's exactly how it is. That's exactly how it is. Um, let me get some more. Candace says you can actually Google this guy. He's gotten money from women and been to jail. Yeah, so this guy, if he's got money from women, this guy is a Tinder swindler. Maybe you didn't meet him off of Tinder, but I mean, this is what he does for a living. He's able to manipulate women, and you know, he must have some charm to him. Man, these stories are, oh my goodness. These stories, there's a difference between him being broke or poor versus actually swindling. Tanya, you can be poor and still swindle somebody, right? I think. Obviously, not. I mean, you could swindle somebody without going for their money, right? You could rob them of their emotions. You could rob them of their time. You could rob them of a specific thing that you want from them. It's the manipulation behind all this where the pain is coming from. Uh, Someone says, if you feel like you're being swindled, you probably are. Vanessa says, can you please talk about attachment issues? Vanessa, man, like I told myself at the beginning of the year, I was talking with a friend. He's like, Kojo, you want to do live shows? You need to be consistent with it. Do it for a whole year. I will do this show all year. Of course, take breaks for like holidays and Thanksgiving, Christmas. But for the most part, I'm doing this show every week, 4 times a week, because there's so much to talk about. We could talk about attachment issues, all day long. I feel like the best time to go to therapy. Well, there's no best time for therapy, but a good time to go to therapy is after a relationship. You can learn a lot about yourself, Vanessa. You can learn a lot about yourself. Um, Nubia went on a date with someone who was the complete opposite of who he said he was. Stayed on his phone with others, bragging about what he didn't have. Just rude. That's how I imagine that you're writing this. Complaining about everything the entire time. Should have avoided the guy when he started love bombing me just days of knowing me. When I got home, I had to block him. SMH. Mickey Ficky. Mickey Ficky. And these things are actually happening. Like people think is a documentary. America's lost $1 billion. $1 billion is a lot of money. $1 billion would pay all of our student loans right now and more. Oh, Mickey Ficky. Um, Sarah. Okay, all right. Sarah, I like this. Sarah Holman. Manipulation takes two participants. So I understand people doing their due diligence before meeting someone. Where do you draw the line, though, between doing your homework, taking precaution, and being invasive of someone's privacy? So I got to give you a love of the show. I think Sarah deserves a love of the show because this is a really good question. I'm going to sit on it for a while. So great question. Great question. You're right. In order to have, if people could not be manipulated, right? Manipulators would be out of business, right? So people have to be able to be manipulated before you could have the people who prey on them. So where do you draw the line? I think if you have to ask yourself if you're being manipulated or swindled in some sense, that's always a good time to check in on yourself. And sometimes when you really, really, really like somebody, especially in the beginning, you can't see certain things, right? You know, you might be talking to somebody, you're head over heels. It doesn't make sense to you. Like you have to step out of where you are and then get the information from somebody else who can help you out. So you need your people, your OGs, your homeboys, your girlfriends, or whoever to help make things a little clearer for you. And talking about invasion of someone's privacy, I told you all the story where you know a girl I was dating a couple years ago. I don't think she'll mind me telling this story because I think it's funny. But she was working at a gym, and I used to go to that gym. And I mean, she told me the story like we were already dating, so she was comfortable telling me the story. But she said that she before we were dating, um, and this is like when I first started to talk to her, and I was like taking her out. I was trying to like get to that point where we're boyfriend and girlfriend. But in the early stages, she actually told me that she ran a background check on me. I'm not sure if that's legal or if you can do that, but she ran a background check on me. I don't know if that's an invasion of privacy, but I mean. I don't know. At this point, like dating for women is a safety issue. So, I mean, whatever you have to do to, I don't know. I don't know, but I do think that you need to do enough to make sure that you're safe. So if you feel like you're safe, then you're good. But you have to make sure that you're safe. Someone says people are scary. Yeah, true, true, true. Definitely true. Definitely true. Um, Someone saying people have attachment issues with the exes. Yeah, you do see that a lot. Um, Swindler and a hustler. Tristan, is there a difference between a swindler and a hustler? I don't know how to answer this question because, like we know a swindler is. There's a slight difference, at least for me. A hustler is somebody who's like hustling to get something, and it may or may not be at the expense of other people. I'm just thinking out loud here. I could be wrong. A swindler is somebody who is like you're being manipulated. You know. So if we all listen to red flags, yeah, that's true. The red flags, um, your videos, Jennifer, I appreciate that. Thank you. I appreciate that. You can be rich and still swindle people. Yeah, yeah. So I agree. Far fetched, funny picture you have, but I don't think like honestly, like when I was watching the documentary on Netflix, I thought to myself about this. Like, it's not even about the money. it's about the control. The fact that you have control of another human being to the point where they would take out large amounts of money for you. That's the type of thing that like a manipulator would prey on. So it's they're not in it for the money. They're not in it for the sex. I mean, all these things come along. They probably could be like in it for that too. But the control that they want to have over other people, definitely something that um I think people need to pay attention to. I know a lot of red flags because I want to believe in the fairy tale. In therapy now, could have avoided a lot of pain, stress, anxiety. So literally, that's the goal of my videos, right? I put out these videos and I make them funny and informative and entertaining. We talk about ADHD, borderline, OCD, anxiety. We talk about all these different issues because people don't realize how much mental health is attached to like dating, right? There's a huge correlation between the two. And the fairy tale that's been sold to people is hurting you in a sense. That you're gonna meet somebody or you're gonna meet people and everybody's gonna have love for you and everything is gonna go great. That's not how the world works, unfortunately. But the people who do love you, I believe, are are enough. Those people who will be behind you. But not everybody is for you. Uriel, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So it says, how much do I how much do I bench press? That's funny. I just bench. Well, I don't go past 225 because that's what the NFL players do. They bench 225 a couple of times. So I used to be able to bench like 250, but after I had a hernia repair, I think I must have strained something lifting too much. So now I just lift 225. That's a 45. That's 245s on each side. So I'll do the 225 as many times as possible. But I haven't tried to go past 225 in many years, actually. Um, Someone says Disney. Yeah, Disney has sold a lot of people a lot of. Look, it's time that we hold Disney accountable. Actually, hold up, hold up. I don't want to say something that could be taken the wrong way because, yeah, I don't want to be taken out of context here. You know, I think with the Disney fairy tale stories, right? I'm a big fan of Disney movies, right? We grew up on them. We love them, right? They're great. They're heartwarming. We love them, right? But sometimes you want that fairy tale in your own life. And if you have a hard time separating the movies from real life, you might run into a lot of issues. Because if you go into the dating market thinking that people are going to start buying you flowers and start courting you like it is in these movies, you're probably going to be disappointed. You're probably going to be disappointed. So nothing wrong with Disney. Obviously, we banter back and forth, but I think the Disney movies, and look, the movies were made for us as kids, so that's why we love them, and they're part of our lives. But as we grow up, I think we need the Disney movies, right? Because you need that hope. But then as we grow up, who's gonna make the movies about mental health that show like how things actually are? You know, is that gonna be me? Maybe so. I'm here in Hollywood. Maybe I need to pitch the script or something. But or maybe I can work with Disney. So that way I can put out a part 2, 3, 4 to Aladdin or these different movies. I don't know. I'd love to. I love to work with them. Maggie says you're so smart. I'm okay, Maggie. I'm decently intelligent. Um, and ooh, good question right here. Ooh, let me talk about this. Having been in and out of abusive relationships my whole life, I start to question the integrity of my own actions. Ooh, how can you tell if you are doing something for the right reason? That's a great question, Alexis. That's a good question. And I know how good a question is when I have to stop and think and have to talk about anything but the answer to give myself time to think about it. You know, First things first, when you've been in abusive relationships and your whole life, there's a fair amount of trauma that comes with it. So as you get out of every relationship, you you might lose yourself in the relationship. So as you get out, you're like rediscovering who you are. So I think especially when you get out of an abusive relationship it's hard to trust yourself because you're telling yourself, you're like, damn, like how can I trust myself? Because I allowed myself to get stuck in that last situation, and that last situation was very similar to the previous three situations. So now I'm just not able to trust myself because I don't think I make good decisions, right? And therapy can really get to the heart of that. Sitting down with a professional to work through some of those issues, work through some of that trauma to figure out why you do the things the way you do them, and to try and pick up on patterns. And then I would say, as you pick up on patterns and you learn yourself more, you can start to feel yourself out and understand when you're in a good mental headspace, right? Like what is mentally healthy Alexis look like, right? Whereas what's Alexis 2.0, 3.0, like the next and best version of you, like where could you be? So as you learn yourself more, you can kind of gain insight into how you're doing and the things that you do when you're feeling good and the things that you do when you're not at your best. So that's a really good question. It's a great question, and that's how I would answer that question. But that question made me think, so I appreciate that. Let me give you a love of the show. That's a good question. Uh, let me see. Emotional abuse is definitely a thing. Is definitely a thing. Um, Inside Out is probably the closest Disney has gotten to realism. What's Inside Out? I feel like that sounds a little familiar. Inside Out. I would love to work with Disney on the film. Inside Out is um 11-year-old. Hmm. Anger, fear, disgust. Mindy Kaling, Richard Kind, Amy Poehler. Okay, Inside Out looks like a good movie. I need to check it out. Maybe I need my people to reach out to Disney and maybe we can collab. This might be a opportunity to collab and start to put some new movies out there. You're gonna be excited as I think about it. Um, Let me say, I never watched your lives. Thank you so much, Jennifer. I appreciate that. Yes, and we'll get to I got so much more content on ADHD to post. I have so many more videos to post. So if you all are part of the ADHD community, I got so much content for y'all. Jennifer, I really appreciate that comment, and I'm happy that this is a safe space for people with ADHD. Oh, Felicia says, so wait, what about Hallmark movies? I mean, so it's not real, but still, then again, I always think about the dude on the white horse that all my girlfriends used to talk about. So once again, as I was talking, like as I was talking in the beginning of the stream, it was starting to look like I was calling out Disney for saying, "Oh no, Disney's the reason why people are being swindled," right? And it's not that, right? And as I was talking, I was like, "Oh, hold up! I don't want my words to be taken out of context. Let me slow down and let me actually get to my point. My point is that Hallmark and Disney, like those movies are great. My mom loves the movie every Christmas where it's always a different movie, but same type of theme. It's like a girl who she broke up with, she got divorced, a bad divorce, right? And she went to go live with her parents, and then she was sad, and then she bumped into this guy, a handsome guy at the grocery store, and then at first she didn't like him, but he's like, please let me take you on a date. And by the end of the movie, they were engaged, and it was a happy ending, right? Those the Hallmark movies always had the same type of theme, right? Now, the reason why I'm like, those movies, there's a place for them because during Christmas, right, when you sit down there with your family, who wants to watch like a sad and depressing movie? Like, you want the ending to be like heartwarming, right? You're sitting there Christmas with your family, your people, your kids, your spouse, like you're having a good time, right? So that's why the Hallmark movies come out like that. I get that, and that's great, But there can also be a place for like movies that depict real life situations, and I think that the Tinder Swindler is it's good for people to see what's going on, right? It's good because people don't know these things, and it helps you, not judge people. Like people get swindled out of money, and you can't judge them. And if you put yourself in their shoes, you can see how maybe they got to that point. Frozen is a good one. Frozen. Oh, okay. My niece used to love Frozen. Let me see. Let me read this comment right here. I was single for 17 years after a very heartbreaking divorce. Sorry to hear that, Molly. When I finally let someone in again and married, no, when I finally let someone in again and married, then I immediately found myself in a controlling, abusive relationship. I lost all trust in myself and my picker of men. I have what I think is a wonderful of man, kind man in my life now, but I'm terrified of loving someone again. All right, so first of all, I don't know why I can't read. I'm having a hard time getting the words out for whatever reason, but this is where I mean, and Molly, I mean, we could take your name off honestly, and this situation can represent a lot of people. I think this is where you know sitting down with a good professional can help you out, right? And it's kind of sad for me because like I post so much online and it's very therapeutic, but I've known from the moment I started doing this that there's a cap on what I can do for people, right? But like I'm happy that people are able to be educated and they learn stuff from my videos and it's eye opening and it's life changing. That's great. I love it. I'm grateful that y'all have accepted me. But there's times when like watching a Dr. Kojo clip won't be enough. Like you maybe do have to sit down with like a therapist and hammer out some of these issues because what you don't want is like the guy of your dreams to come, right? Or like the guy that you want to date is in front of you, but you're unable to like like fully allow yourself to be loved by that person because you're still kind of being haunted by the demons of the past. But a lot of people struggle with this, so this is this is not something that is uncommon. So you shouldn't feel like you're weird or anything like that. A lot of people do struggle with that, you know. Um, oh, Mickey Ficky, Josh. Let's talk about this one right here. Yee. I love the show, and Josh, I don't know if this is Disney per se, you know, and this is not Kojo being corporate Kojo and trying to be safe and be like, oh, I don't want to be for Disney. This is just me saying that I've seen this all over TV. I can't pin this on anybody, but um, teaching young girls that they are the damsel in distress and the perfect man is supposed to save them, and they absolutely need a man to survive. Mickey Ficky. So, you know, I had a friend who told me that he, and this is an experience shared by a lot of men. He said that his ex girlfriend, they broke up because he had to be everything for her. And I'm like, what do you mean everything? And he said, I had to be her boyfriend, her friend, I had to be her therapist, I had to be her psychiatrist, I had to be her parent, I had to be her coach. And I see where he's coming from, right? Like people, like you don't need nobody's coming to save you, whether you're a man or a woman or however you identify. Like nobody's coming to save you. Like you as an individual are more than capable of taking care of yourself and getting to where you want to go, right? Now we're gonna need people in our lives to help us out, right? We lean on our support system, our family members, our friends, those of us who believe in the higher power. All of these things are important, right? But you don't want to make your person like you don't want to like put so much on them more than they should have to where like you alienate them, right? So as we talk more about mental health awareness online, right, and as like I think this is where my videos are actually helpful, right? Like I'll put out these videos and then somebody will be like, oh wow, I didn't know that I was struggling with high function depression. I didn't know I was going through this. Thank you so much, Dr. Coder, for your video. I'm gonna go get help, right? And then they go get help, and then they go into their next relationship. They're gonna go, right? As opposed to them not knowing what's going on, right? And if you look on TV or you look at movies, there's nobody talking about high functioning depression or signs of ADHD or signs that it could be bipolar disorder or blah blah blah, right? Nobody's talking about that. So people are living their lives and they don't know what's going on, and they're just hopping into like relationships. So for the girl who is like wanting somebody to save her, right? That she needs to be responsible for herself, but she might not be aware that she's in that position. So you have to give people the information, right? Educate them, right? Give them a safe space so that they can work on themselves, and then let them go back out there and live their lives, right? That's the whole goal. That's the goal. Let me see. Oh, Sarah said she spared her water. Do you think it could work if the Tinder swindler was a black man? So I don't know. This question is funny. I don't know. I don't know what race has to do with it. I think yes, yeah, yeah. No, to answer your question, yes. The Tinder swindler could have happened if this was, yeah, if the guy in the Netflix documentary was a black man, this could have happened. I don't know why people don't think that a black man could swindle you, right? Like I'm not saying that I'm a swindler, right, or anything like that. But I mean, I live in LA. I have 2.5 million followers. I could put on like a nice suit. I could go meet a college chick from UCLA or something like that, and I could tell her, hey, I have um 2 million followers online. That's true. I live in this great place. I do okay, right? And I could tell that I drive a Camry too, so I don't drive no fancy car. But I could go rent out I could go rent out a Lamborghini or some fancy car for the weekend, right? And I could put on the image like, you know, hey, I'm gonna fly you out here. I'll call my friend who has a private jet, and then I'd say, hey, I just met this girl off of Tinder or Bumble. Can we fly across the country to impress her? You know, now I don't know why I would want to do that. Like I know that my friend who has a private jet, he tells me that it costs him $12,000 to get from LA to Florida, right? So that's just for the gas. So um, let's just say, hypothetically speaking, let's say for some reason I wanted to really swindle this girl. So I called my friend. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna give you $12,000 for gas. Fly me from LA to Orlando because I have to impress this girl. So I do all that, right? And then she's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm dating this famous guy who has a private jet," and then after like a month and a half of love bombing, I come back around and say, "Oh my goodness, like things are going. I'm being canceled online. People are bullying me, and I ran out of money, and my license is gone. I can't see patients anymore, and the only way that I can continue to like be online is I need you to take like a super small loan of $150,000. You know, I'm not saying that I'm not giving y'all the blueprint to do these types of things, but I'm saying that this is what I saw in the documentary, and these types of things happen. Like these things happen. So like you just have to you just gotta be careful. Just gotta be careful. And this is unrelated, but yes, eat breakfast, y'all. Eat breakfast. Eating breakfast is important. Eating breakfast is important. Uh, how can you find out what your red flags are and figure out if you were them? All right, so there's certain red flags that should be red flags for anybody, right? Now, for the average person, if you meet somebody and they're gonna take you on a first date on a private jet, that's a red flag for me. I'm sorry, right? Unless I don't know, I don't know any. I don't even. I don't want to throw out any celebrity's name because I don't want, you know, like I'm actually here in LA, so I don't want throw anybody under the bus, but take any big Hollywood actress, right? If I was dating her or whatever, like that person could have millions, but still, if they took me on their private jet, I'm like, what type of a chick is this? Like on a first date, that's still a red flag for me. Things should move naturally. It shouldn't move so fast. It's a red flag. Um, it's a red flag. And I have to give Emily Weeks a love of the show because I think white women have been getting the short end of the stick because a couple of Karens have decided to I've decided to, you know, do some awful things and some racist things. So I think as a whole, white women kind of get a bad rap. But this comment here, it means a lot to me. I need to understand more about being black. I don't know how to help my friends. I appreciate that. You know, give you the love of the show. Yeah, I give you the love of the show. If you don't understand somebody, sometimes it's just good to say, hey, what are some of the things that you struggle with, right? You know, like I was it like being black in America, and then one of your friends can tell you about how it is to be, getting pulled over and being afraid for your life. So I think that's what we should do as just as people, we look out for one another. You know, someone said, "Who gets on a plane with a complete stranger?" Kaylee, Kaylee, I don't know where you're from, but I mean, I don't know. Like things are different in California, but if you if somebody came and offered you some nice things, it doesn't have to be like a plane, but the likelihood is that anybody would want it, right? And I wouldn't be swindled by nice things. Like I don't like things like that. But if somebody came with, I don't even know. I mean, I can't think of anything, but maybe like a autographed football jersey from my favorite player. I don't know, but I don't know. But there's still things that are, they'll get your attention and like everybody like think about it. If you were to be manipulated, there's always one thing that somebody could use that against you. You know, um, someone says it's really hard, but as Dr. Koto says, keep going. Brittany Scott, I gotta give you the love of the show. And every day is not going to be good, right? Every day is not supposed to be good, honestly. You're not supposed to have all good days, but as long as you keep going, you give yourself a better chance of having good days. Um, as a mental health nurse, I hear stories of patients being swindled via the internet because they're looking for love on the web. Yes, uh, Sylvia, thank you so much for saying this. I appreciate you saying that because people think that this swelling thing doesn't it happens. It happens. And if you're looking for love and you really really want love, and you're willing to put yourself out there, it requires some level of vulnerability, and the wrong Mickey Ficky can prey on that. So it says, I won't even get in. All right, cat. All right, cat. Ooh. This might be hmm, this could actually be its own show. What can cause narcissism? Is it genetic? Learned traits? Ooh. Ah, man. This is a good question. I don't know if there's a right answer to it. A lot of it, I do think, is learned behavior, but sometimes there's some, in my opinion, this is just Kojo speaking. Sometimes there's some type of trauma that's there, maybe stemming from childhood. And sometimes the only way that they can get attention is by manipulating people, or getting a certain reaction out of people. There's so many different paths to becoming a narcissist, right? But people throw that term around like loosely. Let me get through a couple more um, comments before we get off of here. And let me see. What are your thoughts on Carissa, early teenagers and Snapchat? Uh, I mean, I'm not that old, but what do you mean by early teens and Snapchat? What's going on Snap that I'm not familiar with? Uh, every day may not be Tracy. I like that. I like that. Let me see. And also just just like a FYI, I can't legally like give like medical advice, or I can't like recommend like medical things. So like if people leave comments, I can't like y'all know I'd love to help. Y'all know like I'm here to help, but I can't like legally like be throwing certain things out. So sometimes I'll see you all's comments, but I can't like no, I can't like recommend things. But like the other day we had my friend Chris on the on the show, and he was talking about his ADHD journey, And then I name dropped the psychiatrist who helped them out, because that's a good friend of mine. So in that case, like, I'll mention somebody because it's somebody who doesn't mind their name being mentioned, and it's a good friend. But in terms of like actual resources, sometimes it's difficult to like put that out there. And let me see. uh Emily, I appreciate that. Your comment background said you know what you're doing. I like that because it's funny that you mentioned that because I was talking with my publicist, and I was trying to figure out how to get the background to make it good for future shows. And I don't know, like when I first started going live on TikTok in Virginia back in the day, I used to have like the little lights, the colorful lights. And I was talking to Kevin, and that's my publicist. And he's like, "Oh, okay. Do you want to have lights in the background?" I'm like, "It depends." And he was like, "Who's your audience?" I said, "My biggest audience is women 25 to 34." And he was like, "Do you want to go with the lights in the background?" I was like, maybe not." So this is my default. But if y'all rock with this, then I appreciate that. Yeah. And let me see. Ooh, this is a good one right here. Ooh, Sarah. Oh my gosh. Sarah Elizabeth. Wow. Wow. This is a good one right here. I gotta give you a love of the show. I gotta give you the love of the show. Let me see. 1 second. Can't delete on LinkedIn. Hey John, if you can't delete it on LinkedIn, it's fine. Let's just keep it on there. It's not a big deal. Thank you though. Yeah, I have to let my sister know that the first live that we did and the sound was off. I tried to delete it. If we can't delete it, it's fine. It is what it is, right? All right. I do want to answer this question right here before I get off. How can you identify the toxic traits you are attracted to and their potential origin in your life, i.e., why you're attracted? This is really good right here. And sometimes, like like this show that I'm doing is for you all. Like I want y'all to benefit from it. So I'm always thinking about new ways to improve it. And like sometimes, like let's say Sarah asked this question at the beginning of the show, I would have sent you a link, Sarah, if you wanted to talk about it. Like if you're okay with putting your face out there and talking to people, I would have sent you a link. I would have put you here on the screen, and we would have talked about this. And I could talk about this for quite a while. The toxic traits that you're attracted to and their potential origin, and even me, even me, I feel like I could relate. Sometimes you date different people, right, with different faces, but they're the same person. If that makes sense, are y'all following along? You can date different people with different names, different faces. You know, they can be different races, but they're the same like type of person, right? Sometimes there's things that we're attracted to, and we don't know why, but we just know that we probably shouldn't, be moving towards that one thing, right? And let me think of an example. Uh, Toxic trait, right? Let's say, you actually here's another good one, right? Because a lot of times abuse, and trauma, it kind of like it. Not to say it changes the trajectory of your life, but it kind of puts you on the spin, and it's hard to see things the same way that you used to see them, right? So if you have gotten out of a toxic relationship, right, you might come out of that situation loving the back and forth. Like you might get a kick out of the arguing back and forth. Like that might be your way of how you view love, right? And I'm not saying that this is you or anybody, but sometimes if you're in a toxic situation and you get out, or if you go from toxic relationship to a healthy one, then you might sit there in a healthy relationship and you might be bored. And you might be like, all right, like I need something to do. Like we're not arguing, we're not fighting. There's no thrill anymore. So sometimes it's you can trace things back to either like a certain event or things that happened that make you the way you are in that moment. So there's something to be said about this. I really, really like this. I really, really like this. Um, and so this probably comes from our childhood trauma and previous experiences. Yeah, yeah. all these things are things that you have to keep in mind. And for me, like, let me see, toxic traits that you're attracted to. I always like to put my, like, I don't mind putting myself out there. I rather like put a spotlight on myself than to put somebody out there and make it uncomfortable. Toxic traits you're attracted to. Mickey Ficky. I know I'm sure I have some toxic traits that I'm attracted to, but nothing comes to mind. I promise I'm not perfect. But a toxic trait that I'm attracted to and the potential origin for me. Hmm. Can I answer that question? Toxic trait. What's a toxic trait that I'm attracted to? Um, I cannot answer it. I'm not bullshitting with you. I can't think of anything. Jay, I appreciate you. And also, so when it comes to like abuse, um, it's I don't know. Like I I want to talk about abuse more, and I just have to figure out how to talk about it online. And it's tough, but anybody in like an abusive situation, this is all types of abuse: verbal, physical, emotional, uh, sexual. My heart goes out to them. I don't ever judge anybody who stays in a situation like that. But it's about providing them with the resources, the support, the safe space, so that they feel heard, right? And a lot of men, believe it or not, a lot of men are in abusive situations, and they're stuck. So this is like a people thing. People are, you know, people can struggle regardless of um, your gender or how you identify yourself. Kat says, if only I could have heard it 14 years ago. Kat, I mean, 15 years ago. 15 years ago, I was 14. I was 14 years old. I didn't have this knowledge to bring it out to you all, Kat. But now I do. So now I'm happy that I can do that. And April says, can you talk about gaslighting? So many people don't know what that is. I'm actually happy that you mentioned that. It's funny because I was late to today's episode and I got stuck in LA traffic, and I was doing a collaboration with a comedian. She's one of the funniest comics in LA, and her character is called Uber Karen, and Uber Karen is supposed to gaslight people, and she was telling me, she was breaking down how she pretends to gaslight people. It's a skit, sketch comedy, and her definition was on point. Gaslighting is this is her example. Actually, let me tell you. So her example was uh, she said that hypothetically speaking, she might tell her husband to go pick up the kids at 4 o'clock, right? And then she'll go scoop up the kids at 3:30, and then her husband will go to school, and then he'll call her and be like, "Hey, babe, the kids already been picked up, like they're not here." And then she'll be like, "Did I tell you to pick up the kids? I don't remember telling you that. Like, no, I didn't tell you that." And then the husband drives home and he's thinking that he's losing his mind because he's like, "I could have sworn she told me that, but like, I don't know why. Why would I drive to the school and the kids are already home?" You start to question yourself. You start to think like, "Am I crazy? Am I losing my mind?" So that example is a great. That's gaslighting. Um, and I wish I knew this back then. And look, Brittany, keep in mind, we only know what we know now. So we still have the rest of our lives to live. We have a lot of life to live. There's still time left on the clock. So we can make the changes necessary with the information that we have now. Emily, sorry to hear that. I just read your comment. Um, Invalidation. Uh, ooh. Invalidation is an experience that can be abusive. It's something I've learned about lately that helps me flag potential abusers. Ooh. Yee! Yeah. That said, some accidentally invalidate others on accident occasionally, but are accountable after and change of behaviors. Ooh. Is it Maeve Bolin? I really like that. Invalidation is an experience that can be abusive. It's something I've learned about lately that helps me fight potential abusers. Right. So I think invalidating somebody's feelings and doubling down on that, that's a potential red flag, right? and you don't have to agree with somebody, right? Somebody can be telling you something that it pisses you off to the core, and you're like, I don't believe it. I don't agree with it. But if you like, and it happens to me all the time, right? That's something that I've experienced in friendships or in even intimate relationships where, maybe the girl says something that I don't agree with and I'll never agree with. I won't, like, sometimes I'm like, I will never ever ever see eye to eye with you, on that issue. But I'm gonna validate your feelings. Like, this is how you feel, and your feelings are valid. I don't agree with you. You don't have to agree with somebody, but you have to give them space to, like, let them feel how they want to feel. So I like that right there. Y'all asking some good questions right there. Mickey Ficky, what what are your thoughts on open relationships? This is another ooh Mickey. Oh my gosh, we have so many good, man. Like I don't know, like we this show right here, we could take this show so many different places, because, like, the feedback and the dialogue, and I'm telling y'all, I don't see people talking about this, like, on TV. That's why I like this show. I mean, obviously, like, I'm hosting it, so if you ask me if it's the Dr. Kojo show, or wherever it's on TV, I'm gonna pick this because, like, it's me, right? So I'm gonna pick myself. But I don't see people talking about these type of topics online that often, and it's important to talk about it. Right? Open relationships. I think if you're in a relationship where um, you both like, if that's what y'all agree on, and that's the premise, that's just fine. Like, that's my opinion. Relationships are between two people, so if y'all have agreed upon that, then it's fine, right? But if y'all agreed to be monogamous and the one person has decided, on a random Thursday afternoon, that they're gonna open the relationship on their end, right? Then that's not that's not cool, right? That's cheating, that's manipulation, But if it's open and y'all agree to that, then, I mean, then that's between you all, right? I'm sure there's a plan in place for what happens if somebody catches feelings, or protecting yourself from diseases, but nothing wrong with it. At least for me, nothing wrong with it. At least for me. Ooh, where was this coming from? Oh, Mickey Ficky. Hmm. Ooh. But yeah, I'm just saying it will always lead to jealousy. I don't know if it will always lead to jealousy. And where the hell is water at? Oh, I said a bad word, right? I'm cracking myself up. But let me see what you all's uh Tanya, wow. We've been open for 16 years. It works for us. Wow. Tanya, I would love to, you know, bring you on to the show, and I would love to hear from you, right? Like, I mean, if you ask me, if I'm dating somebody and they're like, Kojo, it can be open on your side. I'm like, oh, okay. All right, okay. But I don't know if I do. I don't know if I want my lady to be seeing other people. I don't think I do. But there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with um, if that's what you all have agreed on, and everybody feels respected and worthy. Nothing wrong with that, Tanya. And I'm happy that you're here telling your story, because now, like, people know that it's possible. Like, it's worked for you all, and y'all have been together for 16 years. So that's an accomplishment. And you should be proud of yourself that you all have been able to be together for 16 years. So I definitely, you know, I definitely, I respect that. Sometimes it just depends on the relationship itself. Yeah, open relationships doesn't mean that you can disrespect the person. It just means that that's what you all want to do. Let me see. Oh, good question right here. Not on topic, but I'll answer it. Prescriber, yes. Psychotherapist, yes. Both. there's all right. So, Allison, good question. When you're a prescriber, normally when they hire you, right? Like if you're a DNP, right? Specifically psych, right? If you're a psychiatric nurse practitioner or a psychiatrist or a psych physician assistant, you know, when you work for these companies or you work for hospitals, they pay you the big bucks to really prescribe medications. So there's not a lot of prescribers who are comfortable doing therapy or maybe like to do therapy. Good question though. Um, I'm available now for. I feel like monogamy is not normal personally. Uh oh boy, we can go to many different lanes on this one. But yeah, I mean, monogamy is that's a discussion that we have to have. We have to have it. I can say that it's normal to be attracted to many different people, right? You know, like I could turn on the TV and be like Rihanna or I don't know, like Doja Cat or I don't know, like Scarlett Johansson, whoever is like the actresses or whoever is big, you know, I might be like, oh, that person's attractive, but it doesn't mean that like I want them. So, you know, yeah, I definitely okay, yeah, that's that's definitely uh, uh, a topic. Ooh, I'm in an open relationship. We are 100% transparent with each other and always ask and check in. Respect for our relationship. Oh, my, all right. So, guys, I'm actually fascinated with this. Cat Clouds. I'm actually fascinated. So, actually, Cat and the former lady send an email to my assistant. That's assistant at cojosoftware.com. And send the best assistant correctly. Send an email to my assistant and let him know that if you all are open to coming on this show, you know, I'll bring you on and we can talk about it. Like I'd love to hear from you and love to learn, you know, like because it's a fascinating topic. And you know, I think this is the platform for it because here on this platform, like we respect people's lifestyle choices and preferences and regardless of however somebody identifies or their sexual preference, like nobody is shut down here. And even though I'm pretty sure an open relationship is not for me, right? Because I just I don't know, I can't go to sleep well knowing that somebody's touching on my lady, but it's not about that. But just the fact that people are doing it and having success with it, that makes me feel really good because people have found that that works for them. And if that works for you, forget about the world. If it works for you, it works for you. So I would be honored, if you wanted to come on the show and talk about your experiences, I would be honored to. I would love to have you on. I'd love to have you on. Thank you for sharing. Um, Let me see. Sometimes I thought this was a discussion about mental health, not sex. Mental health and sex go hand in hand. You know, I know it's not normal to be polyamorous, but yeah. But look, that works for you. Once again, I always say, other people's opinions of you are none of your business, right? So whatever you have to do to take care of yourself is, you know, I respect it. It's all about respect. Like I have patients who different lifestyles or different things. Like I never judge somebody, right? I never judge somebody. I did forensic psychiatry for a year and a half, right? I work with people who have committed all types of crimes, like crimes that are unspeakable. But I never judge them. If they're in front of me, they're in front of me for a reason. Like they're there for help. You don't judge the person, right? You're there to provide them with the appropriate resources, whether it's medication or therapy. So we don't judge people for anything. Uh, that's a good one right here. Red flags for therapists and psychiatrists. Amber, I like that. That's a good topic. I think I don't have a video about that, but I'd love to talk about that. Polyamory has the potential to work as long as, yeah, no, because look, somebody made it work for 16 years, so it's definitely doable. Definitely doable. I heard 65% of people cheat nowadays. I, I don't know. I don't have a I don't know. I don't have, I go off of evidence based information. I don't know about that. So you know, let me see any good comments in here. Whoa, Brittany says, I want to come on the show. Your partner having what? That's a wild comment, Brittany. That's a wild comment. Um, and Phoebe says, if you think about it, though, it involves trust, honesty, all those things that affect our mental health. Yeah, Phoebe, you're right. These things all affect, our mental health. And we started the show talking about manipulation and the Tinder Swindler. Everything affects mental health, right? And that's what I'm going to prove with this show. Mental health is everything. Like, and I'm not to single out the Brittany who said, or the person who said, I thought there was a discussion about mental health, not sex. I don't want to single that person out. I'm not trying to put you in a spot. All I'm saying is that everything you can, everything has a link back to mental health, right? Whether it's relationships, whether it's your sleep, your appetite, whether it's the things you do for work. Mental health is important. It's just as important as your physical health, but people don't talk about it because of the stigma and things like that. And that's what we're working to break on this channel. So yeah, as you see, this show's gonna get much more diverse. I have so many ideas for this show, and I don't even want to get to talking about it. I just want to do it. I just want to start doing it, and then we get better as we go. Um, Let me see. Let me. Sorry, Brittany, you're cool. You're cool. You're cool. 29 years in a polygamous relationship. Respect. You have to respect everybody's opinions. Do you think the internet has made cheating more common? For me, I think so, but it's only because people are so much more accessible now, regardless of whether you think that they're a celebrity or whatever. Someone says some mental health issues are associated with being right. So Sylvia, yeah. So Sylvia's, I want to say Sylvia is a mental health nurse, so she already knows. But once again, that's where we have to educate people because people don't know that mental health is tied to things like sex, right? Like if somebody's depressed, you know, if somebody's depressed, sometimes, like a loss of sex drive could be, or sometimes even a high sex drive. I've heard from some of my patients. So it's all about educating people, but you have to make it fun. If it's not fun, people won't, seek out the information. Um, Ooh, Mickey Ficky. Um, Man, and Maeve, I appreciate that. Yeah, the goal. Look, we're gonna talk about any and everything on here. Like I don't shy away from anything. But it's to respect people. If people feel respected, then they're more likely to have a open dialogue about things that people normally disagree on. So functional depression. Oh yeah, we can talk about that all day too. All right. Okay. All right. All right. So, okay. All right. Damn. So I thought we're gonna keep these shows at an hour, but sometimes we go over 17 minutes, but it's fine because I don't know. I'm having fun, and I came on late anyway. It's eight. Thanks, 8:20. I got to hit the gym, but you all, this has been great. We're gonna talk more tomorrow on the show. Today's Tuesday, right? So Wednesday, 6 o'clock California time, 9 o'clock on the East Coast. We'll get right back to it, and we're going to be discussing different topics. I can't wait to get into it with you all. And like as I do this show, I think about things. I'm like, wow, I would love to have this person on to talk about this or that. So yeah, we're gonna make this show entertaining and fun. And I'm even thinking about adding somebody to my team to take certain clips from these lives and throw it on a YouTube or throw it on a Instagram, right? Or throw it on Facebook. Because sometimes people don't want to watch a whole live stream. I don't blame you if you don't want to, hang out with me for a whole hour. I would hang out with myself for an hour, but people are busy, and on the East Coast it is almost midnight, so I do respect that. But I'm looking to clip certain parts of these lives so that I can throw it on Facebook, Instagram, even TikTok. Right? Those are 2 million people who would probably love to see this. So yeah, I had fun, and I will definitely see you all tomorrow. So until then, y'all have a fantastic night.